All right, welcome back to my live stream, my YouTube channel. This is Jacob Cast 2024. While I play Fortnite, we're gonna talk about WWE Smackdown, November 7th, 2025. We're gonna do this live stream, talk about what happened on Smackdown. We'll talk about the news and rumors for AEW. Hit that like button, leave a comment, please subscribe to my channel. My video is sponsored by PlayStation. It's sponsored by JD from New York, Fightful Pro Wrestling, Sound to Sound Off, and other podcasters and YouTubers that I know of. This live stream can be like an hour and 10 minutes. As we talk about Smackdown, we'll go through some of the matches. I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. While we go into the Smackdown is getting worse. It's not that good. We need, how much more of this can we take? We need change after Friday night. SmackDown getting the lowest rating in history. I will make more videos in NBA 2K26 my career after this. But right now we're gonna talk about SmackDown. They did announce the matches for next week. They did get more matches for the tournament, the 60-man tournament, to see who will face John Cena. We got Jey Uso versus The Miz, LA Knight versus a mystery opponent. I'm hoping it's Gunther, because Gunther has to be in it. We know that Jay Carter will wrestle B-Fab next week. I think those were the 3 matches that they announced for SmackDown next week. We already know Raw has matches. Now, what we saw on SmackDown tonight, the show opened up with Cody Rhodes, Aleister Black, and Zelina Vega confront Cody Rhodes. So clearly they're setting up Aleister Black to wrestle Cody Rhodes. I don't know why, but Cody Rhodes had no opponent. He had no challenger. After he beat Drew McIntyre clean, Aleister Black could be next in line. So Vega actually slapped Cody Rhodes. And then they had the face, and Nick Aldis made the match official for the main event. A pretty good match. We'll get to that in a second. We had an open challenge. We had Ilya Dragunov, another open challenge for the U.S. title. He took on Johnny Gargano in a very good match. I thought it was going to be Ciampa. Now there was an interesting where he actually had a face-to-face with Tama Tonga. So they could be teasing that down the line, but Tommaso Ciampa said he wants a title shot. So we got Johnny Gargano and Dragunov in a very good match. Dragunov won. It was a very good match. Dragunov going to have a very good title reign. Not sure how long they're going to have it. Well, he had a lot of challenges. They're teasing Tama Tonga and Ciampa. We did get Jade Cargill. She came out here. She delivers her first as a champion. Was he going to wrestle B-Fab next week? Who knows? They could get Charlotte, or she could be champion. Elito Bianca comes back, hopefully. We also got Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax. Nia Jax beat Charlotte Flair with the help of Last Legend. She came out. She attacked Alexa Bliss. She actually caught Charlotte. It distracted her.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
So Last Legend debuted on SmackDown. Cost Charlotte the match with Nia Jax. Man, but whatever, it was fine. So with Last Legend coming to SmackDown, are we setting up Last Legend and I forgot her partner's name against Charlotte and Alexa for the women's tag team titles? As a possibility. Now during backstage, we got the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. They sprayed mace in Alexa Bliss's face in the medical room. So, they did announce that match this week on Monday. So we are gonna get that match. The Kabuki Warriors against Charlotte and Alexa for the tag team titles on Monday Night Raw this week. And also we got Chelsea Green. She won the Women's U.S. Championship. She beat Julia. She won with her feet on the rope. She's now a double champion along with Ethan Page. I'm happy for that. Chelsea, very good. Julia didn't do shit with that U.S. title. She was irrelevant with that title. Didn't even defend it that much. And also, we got Sami Zayn. He helped Ray Phoenix. We know Tola Tonga defeated Ray Phoenix in a pretty quick match. And after the match was over, the MRTs were going to attack him. Sami Zayn came out, helped Ray Phoenix fend off the MRTs. They did get a tease on the Wyatt set backstage with the MRTs. I don't know where I'm getting that match. I don't really care. I hope it's not at War Games. Because no one wants to see that. No one cares. Alright, so anyway. Now the main event, we got Aleister Black versus Cody Rhodes. Pretty good match. Went about 15 minutes. Now the match ended in no content because Drew McIntyre came out and hit a Claymore kick on the referee. And he Claymore kicked the referee. And went after the referee. And it went after Cody Rhodes. We did see Damian Priest come in and went after Drew and Aleister Black. Nick Aldis came out. He suspended Drew McIntyre indefinitely. So he's going to be taking some time off. We could be looking at Cody Rhodes and Aleister Black. Maybe we'll get that for Survivor Series. Cody Rhodes needs to be on Survivor Series. He has to defend the title. He wasn't on Survivor Series last year. He didn't even defend the title. And the WWE Championship had not been defended on Survivor Series in 2019. That's a problem. And that's a long time from now. So we could look at Cody Rhodes and Aleister Black. Maybe Damian Priest. I don't know when we're going to get Jacob Fatu. I don't know when we're going to see Randy Orton, but Aleister Black could be a filler feud for Cody Rhodes for Survivor Series. We could look at that. Alright, now let me go into some of the news and rumors here. I'll show some of the podcasters that I want to show y'all.
And then we had Damian Priest run out there, and we had the four guys brawling. Zelina Vega went after Priest, but then Black targeted the bad eye of Damian Priest. Cody took out McIntyre with a Cody cutter, and then Nick Aldis came out there and said that Drew McIntyre is suspended.
Montez Ford, maybe even someone from the Wyatt family, getting involved here. And Ilya Dragunov is going to make them feel like superstars. So, I'm very excited for everything they got coming for the United States Open Challenge. The United States Championship Open Challenge. But outside of Dragunov, I do not care. I'm sorry, the women's division on Smackdown is absolutely dog shit.
It is.
Umbrella, very, very, very happy. Yeah, we got someone in the chat who was like, the slow reveal hand focus is
honestly,
what
it worked.
Tonight. I'm here for it, though. So, FightfulSelect.com,
when you shop in the Shaw's app, you can count on us to choose fresh produce, guaranteed.
Same training. Fuck you, Nick. Fuck you, Coach J.R. Smith.
So, this show is almost completely unwatchable. There's nothing interesting about SmackDown. No big storyline, no new feud setup. It's just awful. Now AEW, who went in the blood and guts. Okay, so might as well show some of the other news and rumors here. Okay. I probably should talk about AEW. Well, actually, there is some news and rumors here. Oh, here we go. Petty Tony Dwight, AEW National Champion. So,
You know, man.
Tony Khan, National AEW Champion, is getting him in some serious hot water. The national champion is it in NWA. But Tony Khan created AEW National Championship, pretending like National Championship already doesn't exist. Well, we know the real reason Tony Khan created yet another shiny new belt that he does not need, and you're not going to believe how awful the reason really is.
I really don't understand. I don't understand how you have all this money, more money than anybody knows what to do with in this lifetime and the next 20 lifetimes. And you don't understand how you are the very reason why you and your company are failing. That's what I don't understand. I also don't understand that when everybody, including people like me, on a week-to-week basis who genuinely care and love the product, I don't understand why you don't listen to the criticisms of those people. I don't. I really don't get it. And all you go and do is you continue to hide those problems, ignore those problems, and mask those problems by creating more problems. And by the time you really look at what's wrong, you got a mountain of problems looking at you, and you have nobody to blame but yourself. But the thing is, in this case, Tony Khan is not going to blame himself for any of the downfall that is AEW right now in 2025. I miss the days of old, bro. I really do. Things were simpler, TV was more streamlined and straightforward, it didn't treat you like an idiot. You enjoyed what you were getting. It was easy to combat Vince McMahon when he was blatantly putting on terrible television. I mean, that would light a fire under anybody's ass to create better television to beat Vince McMahon. You would think that would be the same way now with Tony Khan battling his son-in-law. You would think that you would want to beat Triple H even more than you did Vince McMahon, because that same cutthroat attitude is going to be there. It hasn't even lessened. WWE nowadays is even more cutthroat than they were with Vince McMahon. Tony Khan created the NWA National Championship for one of his own championships on AEW television. He has now created the AEW National Championship, basically ignoring the lineage and the prestige of the current existing NWA National Championship, one that is still very much in existence on NWA television, held by current champion Mike Mondo, who had some choice words for Tony Khan. And he is getting himself into a lot of hot water with the wrong people. For someone who's a pro wrestling historian, for someone who's a pro wrestling enthusiast, for someone who is a fan of pro wrestling, why would Tony Khan create a championship, pretend like the current national championship doesn't exist, and bring that national championship to his television while ignoring all of the prestige and lineage of the real national championship? Why would he do something like that? I got the answers for you today, ladies and gentlemen, and this may be the straw that broke the camel's back on how people look at Tony Khan, what type of businessman Tony Khan is, and why anybody doing business with Tony Khan is actively making a bad business decision. I got all the latest and that today on Off the Script. It is your Friday, November 7th. I don't believe it's already heading toward the holiday season, November 7th, 2025. Tony Khan created the national championship. It was announced on Wednesday's Dynamite. The premise of this championship is that this championship will be defended on AEW television. It will be defended on CMLL. It will be defended on Ring of Honor television, and it will be defended in New Japan Pro Wrestling. The title will be contested over, and a new champion, an inaugural champion, will be crowned at Full Gear as Tony Khan holds one of his gimmick Casino Battle Royale matches at Full Gear. The two participants, or three participants in this case, that are already confirmed for this match, in my opinion, one of these guys will be the winner. Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley of the Hurt Syndicate, and Ricochet. I'll get into that in a little bit. So we will crown a new national champion at Full Gear. Let me take you back and start off by telling you why this does not make any sense. First of all, we don't need any more championships on AEW television. A fucking idiot can understand and digest that the more you introduce something, like a championship, the more championships that you introduce to television, it lessens the value and the prestige of all the other championships, because at that point, you're making championships to give out championships to people to make them feel important, and the current champions and their value are going to be lessened. They are going to be diminished. So the TNT champion is not as prestigious as it once used to be. The international champion, the continental champion, the unified champion in Okada, TNT champions Kyle Fletcher, Okada's championship don't mean anything. It doesn't. The Trios championships don't mean anything. The tag team championships don't mean anything. The more you introduce new championships, the value of your current champions and championships is diminished. I don't understand why nobody in that company seems to grasp such a simple concept. The national championship is basically, by definition, the first ever AEW Atlantic Championship. If you guys don't remember, see, this is when I was watching the show, when everybody calls me a grifter, but I've been watching AEW television for 6 years, or the Atlantic Championship or the All-Atlantic Championship. That was the name of the championship before they changed it to the International Championship. The premise of that belt was for that belt to go all over the world, Ring of Honor, AEW, Indies, New Japan, CMLL, or any company that was in a loose partnership with AEW. That championship would be defended to bring brand recognition to AEW and brand recognition to wherever that title was being defended, at whichever promotion it was going to be defended at. That was a great idea. It was a great idea. Clearly, AEW, when they have a great idea, they usually drop the ball on said great idea, and that really went nowhere. They changed the name from the All-Atlantic Championship to the International Championship, and that remained for a little bit until Tony got bored of it, and he didn't use the International Championship the way that it was intended to be used as the Atlantic Championship. And then he took the International Championship and decided to create a Continental Championship. So, at that point, we were on the cusp of having a little bit too many titles. The Continental Championship was really bringing the company to the very edge of, all right, man, I think we got enough belts. We don't need any more championships. So we went from the Atlantic Championship to the International Championship to the Continental Championship. The Continental Championship would be contested every single year in a tournament, a round-robin tournament, from November to December, which the finals will culminate at World's End, which, for a good portion of their television throughout the year, it is a very exciting time for AEW. I love a good tournament. Then we get the Continental Championship on Eddie Kingston. Then he loses it to Okada. And we haven't seen a champion in the Continental Champion outside of Okada since he's won it. And the only reason why AEW put the championship on Okada was that Kenny Omega and Okada was always the plan at some point on Tony Khan's list of things to do. And that match took place at All In, much later than they wanted because Kenny Omega was out for several months with diverticulitis. The only reason why they had that championship around Okada was to make that match feel a little bit more important, give a little bit more meaning to that match when it took place on July 12th at All In. Tony Khan then unified that championship with the International Championship. Kenny Omega was the International Champion walking into All In. Okada was the defending Continental Champion. They unified the championship in Texas at All In and created the AEW Unified Championship. Now, Okada was walking around with all three belts. He was walking around with the new Unified Championship. He was still walking around with the Continental title. And he was walking around with the International Championship, which he won from Kenny Omega, which was supposed to be fused with the Continental title to make one singular championship. Their lineages still continue, according to Tony Khan, the International and Continental lineages, which, I mean, there's only two people that ever held the Continental Championship. The International Championship maybe, what, 3, 4, 5 at most? They and their lineages still continue with the Unified Championship, which is fucking ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Unification means you're getting rid of those. You got one new title because the premise is, well, maybe we got too many titles and we should kind of consolidate the titles that we have and kind of lessen the amount of titles that are on television. So we have a Unified Championship. We thought he was doing a good thing there by merging the titles and getting rid of those titles because they don't really mean anything. An International Champion, a Continental Champion, it all ends up being the same thing. Then he creates the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships, which are right now being contested over in a tournament, which more than likely will find the finals to take place at Full Gear. At the same time this tournament is taking place, he created an AEW National Championship. And everybody's like, bro, what are you doing? Why do we need more championships? You already have way too many championships. You already have women's tag team championships that you just unveiled a month ago with the tournament starting last week. Now you're going to crown another champion, another new champion at Full Gear, almost taking away from the women's tag team title tournament and crowning new women's tag team champions. So we created the national championship with the idea that it will be defended on Ring of Honor, AEW, CMLL, and all other territories around the world that have a partnership with AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. But this was the idea of the All-Atlantic Championship that you got rid of, that you changed the name of that to the International Championship. That was supposed to be what the International Championship was going to do. That was all about the International Championship, taking it to all these different promotions and all these different brands and all these different indies and having it be defended there. Then you got rid of it.
Compared to WWE, they stuck with Ridge Holland for a long time. You know, after the Big East thing. Get the walk, get everything. And then he had the entrance music. That theme song is fire. You know? But then they just couldn't get it together. And they should have been able to because the package was there. And honestly, they failed with him. They screwed up with him so many times because I liked Ridge Holland's like look, feel, song, and then they just kind of like played with him the wrong way. It was like playing with a toy. They were like a toy for as Tony Atlas would say about the women in the 1980s, the female wrestlers was like a toy for us. Well, they were like a toy for us. We really got to get that sound clip, because I don't remember where it is, but we have got to find and get that sound clip, because it's one of my favorite clips ever. The women was like a toy for us. I don't know what YR's been doing, but he's been making just AI videos of me all day, I guess. And this is what we got.
IRS thousands. Oh, the IRS thousands.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, the
Into the
IRS
van.
thousands.
They just shut the van. He's been making AI videos of me like all day long, apparently, which I don't know what that means, but this one's pretty funny. We'll go back to Rich Holland in a second.
Hey, Smackdown sucks. Let's get fired up.
Hey, Smackdown sucked! I'm gonna light my house on fire!
Hey, Smackdown sucks. Let's get fired up.
Dude, some of these...
Show off face of Julia. Like having her be like someone who's trying to.
Point. And then Cody came out and said, well, Drew, he brought the belt in, I used it, I'm moving on. Drew screwed Drew. Brett screwed Brett, Drew screwed Drew. Says I'm moving on, Aleister Black comes out, challenges him to a main event. It wasn't for the title, but challenges him to a main event match. And yeah, that's basically...
There's a reason nightclub bouncers make such great diet coaches.
I just want to get an ice cream sandwich.
That is not on the list. I cover them here, but I cannot tell you how many people I've heard from. And this has been, over a period of many months, but especially lately. When it comes to the weekly shows, and Smackdown is usually chief among them, more so than Raw, who say, I don't even watch the show, I just, tune into the review to find out what happened. And if there was anything good that happened on the show, then I'll check out the clips. But I cannot stomach sitting through the weekly shows anymore. It has gotten just that bad. Smackdown is an empty shell. There is no life to this show. There is no soul. There is nothing of any real redeeming value. They have the talent. I mean, the talent is there, but of course, it's always how you utilize the talent that you have. You can have the greatest roster in the world, and it doesn't make a difference if you're not fitting the pieces where they belong and actually putting together compelling stories and compelling matches week to week. So the talent being there really doesn't mean anything. They don't give you any compelling reason to really care week to week, to tune into these shows, to want to tune in the following week to find out what's going to happen next week, or see some big match that maybe they announce in advance. SmackDown has become the worst type of television. Boring television. Because when the television is really great, it's great, right? I mean, there's been times where we've gone through periods where, and I go back to the pre-WrestleMania television, heading into last year's WrestleMania in Philadelphia. When the television is exciting or interesting or really good, things are great, right? nobody's ever going to like everything 100% of the time, but you know when the show is good and you know when the show is bad. And I think there's this, I don't know, misguided belief that when the shows are good, people like to complain and rant and rave, and so they don't like the good shit. Like, that's complete bullshit. Anybody who tries to tell you that is a fucking idiot, okay? They don't know what they're talking about. When the shows are good, they're great. When the shows are really, really bad, but like bad in a way where it's so bad it's good, or it's like hilariously bad, for someone like me who comes on here and talks about this stuff, it can be very entertaining when you're talking about bad television that's so bad it's good. That's not what this is. This is in the middle. This is in like this purgatory. I just got done watching a show on Netflix, season 3, Alice in Borderland. This is like Borderland, is what this is. This is like the in-between between like life and death. And you're kind of stuck in the middle, where it's really not good, and it's bad, but in a way that's just boring and doesn't really make you feel anything. That is the worst kind of television that you could produce. It's just like, okay, we have a show to do this week. We have our format that we're going to stick to. We're going to do the bare minimum that we need to do. And we're going to slow burn this, and we're going to slow cook that. And that'd be one thing if you actually had stories that were kind of interesting, but when you don't and you slow burn and slow cook it, that's even worse. But that's what Smackdown has become. Every single week. The supposed creative help that we read about weeks ago that was going to be given to Road Dogg. Right, because Road Dogg is like the head writer, or whatever his fucking position is, one of the lead writers, lead creative voices on SmackDown. I mean, we all know where it starts at the top. Not to excuse him from any of this. But there were reports that, they were going to be providing Road Dogg with help because they recognized that the shows can be more enjoyable and that they have issues on SmackDown. Yeah, no shit. The cracks have been showing for many months. And there were some little minor changes they made that gave me hope. Like, oh, okay, they recognize the issues with this show, and maybe we will incrementally begin to see some real changes on this show that will make the show more exciting to watch. And that was just a few weeks ago. But I can tell you from watching this show so far, it hasn't made a difference. It hasn't made a difference. It is very clear to me right now that if any change is to be made, that change will have to come from the top. Make of that what you will. But until that changes, the show itself will continue to exist in its current form. It doesn't matter, we're going to add this person and that person and try to, help out the people who are already writing the show. It doesn't matter. It's an issue with the vision. No pun intended to our friends on Monday night. It's the overall vision of this show. It's just not good. It's not working. And I'm not even going to be one of these people who throws out there, oh, no Millie last week, right? They dropped under 1 million viewers for SmackDown last week. Yes, it was Halloween. You had a World Series game. Whatever. Take that number, throw it. I don't even give a shit. Right? People will point to that. But again, it comes down to creative. For a company that constantly batters the idea into your brain that they tell stories. And Triple H was just at a conference this past week and was talking about, we don't book matches for the sake of finding out what are the best matches to book. We don't do that here. We come up with matches that are going to tell the best stories. Well, what he's doing right now is he's failing miserably. Now, they don't see it that way, because to them, everything they touch turns to gold. Look at all the money they're making. But I don't know how you can sit here honestly, week to week, and tell me with a straight face that they are putting their best foot forward with the talent that they have at their disposal. It's just an out-and-out lie. You say that to my face, I call you a liar right back to your face. I don't understand how people can put shows like these together and say, you know what? This is our best effort. I'm proud of what I put down here. I would be ashamed. I wouldn't want my name on this. We have Drew McIntyre. who lost to Cody Rhodes again at Saturday night's main event, right? Second time. We had Drew McIntyre come out at the very end of the show tonight, and he interfered in the main event. The main event was a match between Cody Rhodes and Aleister Black, which was good in that at least that was a fresh match that we had in the main event. Of course, it went to a non-finish. Drew McIntyre runs in. Drew McIntyre wreaks havoc. He attacks a referee, causes a no contest. Nick Aldis comes out at the very end and says, "I've had enough. I give you an inch, you take a mile. Therefore, Drew McIntyre, you are suspended." And I said, boy, that sounds awfully familiar. And then I remembered that it was last year, a little over a year ago, that Drew McIntyre was suspended by Adam Pearce. So now he has a matching suspension to go with the one from Raw last year. He's got one now on Smackdown from the other general manager. And what that means for his future, his immediate future anyway, is in doubt. I know he's got a movie he's going to be filming soon, although I think that might have been pushed back to the beginning of next year. That Highlander movie, I don't expect this suspension to last very long. It still feels to me like they're going to go to a third match, I guess technically a fourth match, between McIntyre and Cody at Survivor Series. I still think that this ends up extending out to Survivor Series, and maybe at that point Drew McIntyre will actually win the WWE Championship. But at this point, who cares? Seriously, who cares? We've seen the match twice. We've seen what they've done here with these matches. They are telling the story that McIntyre is constantly getting screwed. He said it at the end of the show tonight, "My back's against the wall. My back's against the wall." So let's say he goes in there at Survivor Series and wins the championship. Fine. Doesn't change the fact that they still have much bigger issues here to deal with on this show. But at this point, I mean, can you honestly sit here and say that if that was something you were hoping to see, that if it does finally happen in San Diego in a few weeks, not that you wouldn't be happy for Drew that he finally has the belt after all this time, but like the excitement for it. Yeah, it's like a flame that's been extinguished. You know, sometimes you wait a little too long and it just doesn't hit the same way. That is, of course, if he even gets a shot at Survivor Series. We don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but obviously that story is continuing. We have a new women's champion, Jade Cargill. She won the belt, which was the right call. Saturday night's main event last weekend. She came out tonight, cut the shortest promo in the history of mankind. Cool. Didn't have a whole lot to say. What else is there to say, right? She's the baddest bitch. Then they teased a future match with her and Charlotte Flair, which is something they've done before. Of course they have to go to Jade and Charlotte at some point, and Jade and Alexa, because who else do they have on SmackDown? For all the bad things I could say about SmackDown right now, of which there are many, the biggest mark against this creative team right now is their inability to do anything with their women's division on Friday nights. It is their lack of effort to actually take what should be a strong, healthy division like what they have on Monday night or what they have in NXT at the moment. And they refuse to do so. Now, tonight was the first sign that maybe we're actually going to get some new life injected into this division, because we saw Lash Legend made her debut on SmackDown tonight, which is good. Whether you think it should have been her, or Sol Ruka, or Jordan Grace, or Zari, or whoever, doesn't matter. That's at least a step in the right direction. But the way they have neglected this division for so long, again, I said this before last weekend, whether Tiffany retained, whether Jade won the championship, they have a major, major, major issue with this division where Jade doesn't have any credible challengers unless you take people in the tag division like Charlotte and like Alexa and have them work with Jade until Bianca is ready to come back. And that sounds like that's being pushed off now until early next year. So what do they do in the meantime? Of course they have to go to a Jade Cargill Charlotte Flair match. We'll probably get that by next month. In the meantime, Jade will be wrestling BFAB on TV next week. Set your stopwatch. I don't expect that to go very long. But speaking of stopwatches, we had another women's championship match on this show tonight. As you know, Julia is the Women's United States Champion. She has had a horrendous run. She has been the champion since June. This, to me, is the biggest indictment of this creative team, because I think back to when Julia and then Stephanie Vicaire, almost at the same time, showed up in NXT. And there was a lot of excitement around it, and they were having some great matches, even against each other, even as recently as earlier this year. Remember Roadblock? Right? Madison Square Garden, the theater at Madison Square Garden, right? I think that was the night that, if I remember, Oba defended against Moose, and I think that was the night they hit Julia against Stephanie. And I think back to that and I say, how is it possible that Julia is the same Julia that we have seen here on the main roster in the months since then? How is it possible that these are the same person? How? I mean, is it really just a case of the booking being so much better in NXT with the women as compared to the booking under Paul Levesque on the main roster, at least on this show? Is Shawn Michaels some kind of genius or wizard as compared to Triple H? Has he unlocked some special codes, cracked some kind of code that Triple H has been unable to do? I mean, I don't understand it. This run that Julia was on as the United States Champion was absolute garbage. And in her third title defense tonight, she lost the championship to the former champion, Chelsea Green. I love Chelsea. I don't have any issue with Chelsea. But I'm watching this show tonight and I see Julia the Jobber in the ring losing the title in 90 seconds. And I say, how could this be? How is that possible? How do you fumble in that way? Because that's exactly what they've done. No good answer. Thank God we have Dragunov in the U.S. title open challenge. That's all I'm going to say. The only redeeming part of this show each and every single week. Where there may be glimmers of hope here and there. Oh, hey, that was a good segment. They are few and far between these days. And considering that this is the biggest wrestling company in the world and we have this gigantic roster of people and people in developmental that are waiting to be called up, there is no excuse for these shows to be as lackluster as they are. People are giving you 2 hours of their time on Friday night. This is what you give them? This is the best you can do? And we're getting The Miz against Jey Uso next week in the John Cena Retirement Tournament. That says it all. The Miz against Jey Uso next week. Great. This is your Friday Night Smackdown review. It is Friday night, hence Friday Night Smackdown. It is November 7th, 2025. I am a very frustrated, defeated Monster. Remember last Friday, Halloween? The Macho Monster was here. We had more time on that stream than we did with the show last week. Macho Monster, he's back in the box. We ain't going to see him again for another year. I wish he was here right now. That'd be more entertaining than this show. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. I'm sure you guys have a lot to say.
I am the learning tree.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Misfit Wrestling Podcast. I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about this show tonight, so let it rip. I'll be reading your messages here. A little bit later on here in the stream. I'm sure that'll be very interesting. Start from the top of this show. They opened with the WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, fresh off yet another win over Drew McIntyre. Coming to the ring, Greenville, South Carolina. What do you want to talk about? How about how bad this show is? Can we talk about that? He said that we could talk about what happened on Saturday night's main event last weekend, saying Drew McIntyre was the one who introduced the WWE Championship into the ring as a weapon. He said that his reluctance to pull the trigger has cost him dearly from time to time, something that McIntyre obviously had no issue with. That being said, he called Drew the most self-sabotaging athlete in this business, which meant the Scotsman was now behind him. He's in the rear view, which of course means the exact opposite in wrestling speak. Cody said that he wanted to do something a little bit different tonight. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to go sit in the crowd amongst the fans, like John Cena at WrestleMania 34. He was going to go sit in the crowd and get a feel for who they might want to see him go up against next for the WWE Championship. And at that point, the lights went out, and Aleister Black's music interrupted. He walked out with Zelina Vega, said that he's been ready for something new ever since he set Damian Priest on fire. He got in the ring. He said that he had a chip on his shoulder that's about the size of the WWE Championship. Cody started to remove his tie. He turned around. He was loosening his tie. When he turned back around, Zelina was standing right in front of him, between him and Black. And she told Cody that his nightmare begins now. And then she hauled off and she smacked the shit out of him. She gave him a good slap across the face. Nick Aldis walked out and said he could see where things were headed, so he made it official for tonight's main event. It would be Cody Rhodes one-on-one against Aleister Black. And at that point I said, you know what? I like that, at least, because it is something fresh. There's a match that we haven't seen yet in WWE. Now, we've seen it multiple times in AEW. There is history here between these two men. In fact, the biggest win of Aleister Black's AEW run as Malachi Black was probably when he first debuted in the company, and he beat Cody, one of the EVPs, right? One of the biggest stars in the entire AEW roster. It was a hell of a way for his run there to begin. And the two of them ended up having 3 matches, 2 of which were won by Black. Unfortunately, the peak of his run was that early win over Cody. It was sort of like grand opening, grand closing in many ways. Not that he didn't have some success, trios champions and all that, but he never quite got back to that peak that he was at the very beginning of his run there. But it was also very clear, based on what Cody said, that he was lying to us, and the issues with him and Drew McIntyre were going to continue and extend likely into Survivor Series. Now, after this was the highlight of the night, because Ilya Dragunov was on his way out to the ring for the next defense of the United States Championship in the Open Challenge, not before a quick run-in backstage with Tama Tonga on his way to the ring. But Dragunov came out, and he asked who the challenger was going to be. And it wasn't Tama Tonga. Tama Tonga keeps confronting this man and grunting at him and staring at him, but evidently he's not all that interested in challenging yet for the championship because he didn't come out. And I'm okay with that. Instead, we got Tommaso Ciampa. He entered with Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Ciampa recalled wanting a title shot last week, and Dragunov calling him a jackass. So Ciampa called the fans jackasses and said the title would be his. Dragunov said that he accepts the challenge from that guy, and he pointed over to Johnny Gargano. And Ciampa said that Dragunov was ducking him, and he could only do that for so long. So we were going to get Dragunov and Gargano for the U.S. title. After a break, Dragunov blasted Gargano with an uppercut. And the challenger, he matched the effort with an uppercut of his own. We got the Constantine special by Dragunov that connects. And with Gargano stunned in the corner, he was open for a big boot. Gargano, though, used the ropes to assist himself back to his feet. He stopped Dragunov's dive off the top with a kick right to the gut. That was followed by a poison rana for a near fall. Gargano lifted Dragunov to the top. Champion, though, lit him up with chops, followed by a headbutt. Dragunov left off the top rope with a diving senton. That was not enough, though, to put Gargano away. And with Gargano dazed, Dragunov went for the H-bomb. That got countered, though, with an up kick right to the face. Gargano could not escape Dragunov's standing Uranagi, though. There was another attempt at a Constantine special that got foiled by Candice LeRae outside the ring. Referee was distracted. So this opened Dragunov up for a tornado DDT out on the floor by Gargano and then back inside the one final beat DDT. Dragunov kicked out at 2. Gargano tried for a dive from the apron that got stopped by a kick. And the champion lifted him up in the middle, on the middle rope, for a superplex and then one final H-bomb to put things away. And in his third defense, unlike Julia and the other U.S. title, Dragunov is successful, and he retains the championship. You know, we don't often get to see the black and gold Johnny Gargano very often, the guy that went out there and headlined so many of those takeover shows and had just great matches with people like Ciampa and Adam Cole and Andrade and countless others, right? There was that core group of guys, and Gargano and Ciampa were really right there. They were the nucleus of that show for a few years there. We got to see a little bit of that, Gargano, here in this match. It was very good. Not one of the better ones, if only because there was really no drama, you know, as to the outcome. And we know that Ciampa's going to get his shot maybe next week. We know Tama Tonga is waiting in the wings. But, again, the Open Challenge continues to be the highlight of an otherwise dreadful show every single week. I hope they keep this gimmick going forever. Or at least until they pull their heads out of their asses. Because right now, this is all they got.
Fear not what lies ahead. The 6 dragons shall step.
Does he got Lost posters hanging up by the bodega? The Walking Dead. I'll see you over there. Take number 1. I'm on social media tonight, and I tweet about my displeasure of Friday Night Smackdown. That was my mistake number 2. You can't reason with social media. You can't reason with the people that exist on social media. They got the fucking brain cell of a fucking pen cap. I actively had people defending this show tonight. Now, granted, this was much better than last week's show, but that is a very, very, very low bar. Last week's show was so terrible, I didn't even want to sit in this chair and review the show, like we usually do. Tonight I had people actively defending Friday Night Smackdown for one reason or another. Oh, I love professional wrestling, JD. I'm sure that's the only thing in your life that shows love back to you in some way, shape, or form. Because you ain't getting it from anyone or anywhere else. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, why don't you stop watching, JD? I don't know. I mean, I did that last week, and I gave myself enough time to recuperate. Started the week off strong with some great content. We had a great week. It's Friday. We're right back to the same shit. And I don't know, maybe it's my fucking job? And my livelihood depends on it? Can't just omit a Friday night stream every fucking week now, can we? That would be leaving money on the table. I don't want to be doing that. Why would we leave money on the table? Why don't you stop watching and stop screaming into the microphone, JD? I don't know. Well, maybe because when I scream into the microphone, it's warranted, it's my show, I can do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm talented enough to do it where we get millions upon millions of views on what we do on this channel every single month, with 18 million social media impressions every fucking month. I don't know. Maybe I'm just fucking good at what I do. Smackdown has largely been... Is it worse than Dynamite, chat? That's a tough question, man. When we talk about the end of the year awards, man, what's worse, SmackDown or Dynamite? I don't think anything could be as worse as Dynamite. SmackDown's right there, and that's not really where you want to be. You don't want to be lumped into the same canoe as Wednesday's Dynamite. This show, all I ask every single week is just for a little bit of story. A little bit of story. A little bit. I'm not talking about some Arkham fucking Dark Knight level storytelling here. Though I wish everything we watch would have that level of grittiness and storytelling. I'm not asking for season 1 through 7 storytelling of The Walking Dead. I'm asking for just a little bit of storytelling. Just a little bit. I want something that's going to get me to a point where, for the first time in many, 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 many months, I could sit there after 2 hours and say, man, that was a good Smackdown. Man, I can't wait for next week's Smackdown. When was the last time we physically and emotionally felt that on a Friday night? In fact, here's a better question. When was the last time we physically and emotionally felt that in 2025? I honestly feel after John Cena turns heel at the Elimination Chamber on March 1st, I think all of us collectively felt that way. And then we soon thereafter found out how absolutely directionless John Cena's heel turn and heel run became. It's the only thing I could really think of. Another moment would be where Rollins and Braun Breaker got together after WrestleMania. And the Vision, without a name, aligned with Paul Heyman. Outside that, I can't really pinpoint anything in 2025 that emotionally grabbed me and said, man, I can't wait to watch what happens next. All I'm asking for is a little story. That's it. We have a Smackdown that consists of 2 hours. WWE has run the United States Championship gauntlet into the ground. I don't take the United States Championship to be a serious thing on this show. It's gotten to a point where Sammy made it relevant for 7 weeks. Dragunov is incredible. I love Ilya Dragunov. Though Dragunov is a great wrestler, he's better than great. He's a fantastic pro wrestler. I'm not feeling the same sense of Sami Zayn with Ilya Dragunov in the United States Open Challenge. I'm just not. At this point, we've seen this now for 10 weeks. We've seen this for 2.5 months. Sammy's done it 7 weeks. Dragunov now 3 straight defenses of the United States Championship. It's getting to a point where it's feeling redundant. But you got people defending this show. You got people defending Friday Night Smackdown of all shows. I don't know. Are these real people then, or are they AI bots? What are they? 10 straight weeks of a storyless United States Championship Open. United States Championship Open, any title open challenge, it is a recipe for laziness. It is as uncreative as you could possibly be. There is no real story that comes out of that. It's just a mix of opponents every single week, chosen at random to fill 15 minutes of your weekly 2-hour Friday Night Smackdown. With absolutely zero story going in and zero story coming out. Where exactly does that leave you with, oh man, I can't wait to watch who Dragunov beats next. Oh man, I can't wait to see who answers the call next week. The only people that are legitimately showing any sort of excitement towards that are the people who, I love all pro wrestling, JD. Those are the only people. We here are way too, we are way too in the camp of we want better television. We want quality. We're a little bit too sophisticated here. Again, granted, Dragunov is a fantastic wrestler. Sami Zayn is one of the best that they got. There is no story, chat. There is no story. So, there you go. Strike one. Jade Cargill cut a promo tonight. She won the WWE Women's Championship at Saturday night's main event, which lasted maybe 5-6 minutes tops. Went exactly how it needed to go. I've praised Jade Cargill's heel turn. I praised WWE's decision to follow up on the heel turn by giving her the championship while also at the same time protecting Tiffany Stratton with the quote-unquote worked knee. And she won the championship. Very Brock Lesnar / John Cena-esque at WrestlePalooza. I used the Braun Breaker Sami Zayn analogy from SummerSlam when he won the Intercontinental Championship. It was a massacre down the stretch. Power move after power move after power move, and Jade Cargill got the job done, and she looked dominant in victory. She comes on out, and we are expecting a promo. We're expecting how she feels, we're expecting what this means for her, and what she's going to do with said championship. All she did was come out. All she did was come out with a microphone and the championship and present herself as Jade Cargill from AEW. I'm the new champion because I'm that bitch. And she dropped the microphone. Now, you could look at this one of two ways. One, absolutely waste of fucking time to even include that on television. Or number two, maybe it's better we did not get a promo because Jade Cargill sucks with a microphone in her hand. So if you were expecting some soliloquy by the new women's champion, you were highly, highly disappointed with what you were given tonight. Waste of my time. Now we gotta sit through her entrance and a storm is coming. Meanwhile, Kathy Kelly could have asked these simple questions backstage and Jade Cargill could have done that in 30 seconds. Thank you for wasting my time. Looks like WWE might be setting up Charlotte / Alexa versus Jade Cargill at some point. They're going to have to because this division is so depleted, it is downright laughable. It's a comedy show. If there's changes on Smackdown that need to be made, it is within that women's division. Otherwise, Jade is going to be a quick failure as champion. Strike number 2. Lash Legend. She debuted tonight on Smackdown, and according to WrestleVotes, congratulations to WrestleVotes, by the way, they are now a part of the Fightful family. It's amazing that finally Fightful has gotten a show that is worth watching after all these months of subscription. Literally nothing worth watching over there. Joey Votes and TC are going to add some fucking class to the Fightful catalog. Congratulations to those guys. Love them both. Lash Legend. I've been somebody that has not been very hyped over the inclusion of Lash Legend. I don't really see what the big deal is. She's still very green, in my opinion. WWE introduces Lash Legend as a part of some new partnership with Nia Jax, and everybody's losing their minds. Everybody's going crazy, excited for Lash Legend. Lash Legend isn't the woman on that roster that I would show excitement towards for making a main roster debut. There are others on that roster that I would get excited about. Namely a Jordan Grace or a Mariah May, Blake Monroe, Jada Parker, Sol Ruka, Zarya. Lash Legend doesn't really elicit excitement to me. Especially when they don't really give you an explanation as to why this partnership is now a thing. It's like they don't really give an explanation for anything, nor do they care to. Why is Lash Legend now paired up with Nia Jax. Oh, we're gonna show Charlotte and Alexa what a real friendship is. She's been my friend. I've known this since I've been in the ring with her. Either Road Dogg is a real fucking simpleton, or they have 3-year-olds writing the script for Friday Night Smackdown. That's exactly what you call exciting? That's what you get excited over? That's what you get all hyped up over? Lash Legend and Nia Jax? The only thing I take away from that is that, again, Dave Meltzer's right. Dave Meltzer was correct again! What timeline are we living in? He got the John Cena tournament right. He's probably got the winner of the tournament right. Lash Legend he got right. What are we doing now? Where's Austin Theory? Let's make it 4 for 4, Dave. 5 for 5 is going to be when Lash Legend and Nia Jax are part of the Women's War Games. Then I think everybody owes 5 different apologies to Dave Meltzer. I don't see what's so exciting about Lash Legend. What's so exciting? The only net positive there is that the division needs bodies. Lash Legends adds another fresh face and another body to a very depleted division. That's it. I don't really sit here clamoring to see Nia Jax in any way, shape, or form against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. That's what I call picking up the remote control and changing the fucking channel to literally anything else. Lash Legend isn't going to help alleviate that. The MFTs! People seem to think that we want to see the MFTs on Friday Night Smackdown get embroiled with a feud over Sami Zayn and whatever the issue is. Him getting his United States Championship back, and he's got to take out Solo Sikoa to get there. I don't see how anybody is excited over the MFTs versus Sami and friends. His new collection of friends. Does anybody genuinely, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I'm asking this as a human being to you, one to another. Do you find yourself excited about the MFTs versus Sami Zayn, Rey Fenix, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the Motor City Machine Guns? In some way, shape, or form for Survivor Series? Do you? What exactly about that screams excitement? What about the Motor City Machine Guns screams excitement to you? The fact that they've been off television and are considered basically jobber to the stars? Shinsuke Nakamura, who's gone babyface to heel, back to babyface again. Nakamura's been dead since the day that he lost to Jinder Mahal. He has never recovered. So pardon me for not giving a single shit about Shinsuke Nakamura. Poor Rey Fenix, he's got to be mixed in to this fucking colossal garbage storyline. If you even want to call it that. Poor Rey Fenix. And the sad thing is, he's still better off in WWE than he was in AEW. And there you got Sami Zayn, who is the only redeeming quality of these 10 individuals. And don't get me started on the MFTs. You can slap whatever different color fucking face paint you want on them. Nothing is going to make them an interesting faction. Nothing is going to make them exciting to see. Absolutely nothing WWE can do will make me care about the MFTs. So again, I ask, how are you exactly enthralled by this faction warfare? I think we're up to strike 5 about now. And then Drew McIntyre got suspended after kicking a referee tonight in the main event between Cody Rhodes and Aleister Black. Are you sure you want to suspend Drew McIntyre when, well, I don't know, there's another very noticeable absence on this show. His name is Randy Orton. Where the fuck is he? Should we start shooting up the signal flares and asking where Randy Orton is? Is he on the back of a milk carton somewhere? Does he got lost posters hanging up by the bodega? Where is Randy Orton? Where is Randall Keith Orton? Where is he? But you want to suspend Drew McIntyre when there's barely a main event scene on Friday Night SmackDown. Now again, you could look at that as a positive. Who wants to see Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes again? Maybe suspending Drew McIntyre is a good thing so we don't have to get Cody and McIntyre again. At this point, I don't even know what the fuck they're doing. Are they setting up McIntyre and Cody? Or are they setting up McIntyre versus Aldis? Feels like Drew McIntyre's got more of a problem with Nick Aldis than he does Cody Rhodes. Strike 6. So again, I ask you, bundle this all into one big present. Put a nice little bow on top. What exactly about SmackDown is it that you want me to sit here and openly glaze and speak positively of? What part? I can end the review right here. This show is as lifeless and is as soulless as Tony Khan on Wednesday. And that is not a camp that you want to be a part of at all. We're going to go over this show. I did not care for anything on this show. And you still saw and heard me put a little positives, 1 or 2 positives in there. Overall, this is a very, very lazy, very dull, very lifeless episode of SmackDown. And if you thought otherwise, I don't know what to fucking tell you, man. You need to start doing better. You can love pro wrestling, but that's not what we do here. We love pro wrestling, but we also love good television. There's a difference between the two. You could love pro wrestling. We all love pro wrestling. That's the fucking reason I'm here. But I actively loathe bad television that wastes my fucking time and makes me feel worse for sitting through the 2 hours because of it. This is your Friday Night SmackDown post show right here on Off the Script. It is your Friday, November 7th, 2025. I didn't even get to Julia. Yet. I gotta leave you guys wanting something later. Whether you are an adult taking yourself to a Halloween party on a Friday night, mind you, and getting pissed drunk and stoned out of your mind and trying to hook up with the fucking cutie who's sitting in the corner dressed as Harley Quinn. Halloween fell on a Friday, folks. Also, the World Series was on. Wasn't the World Series still on? Wasn't the World Series on Friday? Oh, but the WWE is dead, JD. No, SmackDown sucks, and I'm not making excuses for them. But I'm giving you guys a very logical reason behind why the show fell below 1 million on Friday. The show sucking is definitely a reason. But there are other reasons behind it as well. Maybe it's time we start thinking about taking the belt off of Cody Rhodes and injecting some fucking life into this show. Where is it written into the fucking handbook that Cody Rhodes needs to be the champion when we go into the new year? I would love a randomized title reign. Maybe it lasts a few weeks, a couple of months, at tops, at best. Get the belt off Cody and inject some fucking unpredictability and inject some life into this show. No, it's not a fun show. It's only a fun show because Cody's got fucking European-style soccer chants being hurled at him. He said his hesitation to pull the trigger has hurt him in the past, and he doesn't hesitate when it comes to Drew McIntyre. He said Drew is the most self-sabotaging wrestler in the history of the business. He said he's ready to move on. He said Drew is in the rear view mirror. I highly doubted that when he uttered those words out of his mouth. He says he wants to do something different and come into the crowd and watch the rest of the show with the fans to see who is next in line for the WWE Championship. Aleister Black's music played. He walked out with Zelina Vega. He's got a microphone. He said since setting Damian Priest on fire, he's been ready for something new. He says he has a chip on his shoulder, and it's about the size of the WWE Undisputed World title. Zelina says, it's too bad your nightmare begins now. She proceeded to slap the shit out of Cody Rhodes right across the face. Nick Aldis walked out and said that both guys were looking for a fight. So he made this match tonight for the main event. Cody Rhodes versus Aleister Black, non-title, in the main event tonight on Friday Night Smackdown. So WWE is going and throwing us back to Malachi Black when he first debuted in AEW. How many years ago, chat? 4 years, 4.5 years ago? Debuted in AEW in Miami. Who was the first guy that he kicked in the face when he arrived in AEW? Cody Rhodes. That was exciting. Those were the days, huh? Those were the days. Everybody was excited for that. And then we saw month after month, year over year, Aleister Black, Malachi Black in AEW not amount to anything on Wednesday nights. He was largely forgotten. 2021, 4 years ago, WWE is throwing it back to Malachi and Cody in the main event. Now, I have no problem with that. That's where we should be. That's who should be in the main event. That should be who's challenging for the World Championship. The problem is, chat, the problem is, and this may sound a little too real for people, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way towards Aleister Black, because I'm a huge fan of Aleister Black. I actually have praised Zelina Vega for her inclusion in this act now, as this, in my opinion, is the right role for her. WWE clearly wasn't doing much with her anywhere else. This is where she fits best. She could still wrestle, but this is where she fits best. On the outside, in the corner of her husband, doing what she does best. Cutting a promo and interfering and making things look unpredictable. The problem with this is Aleister Black has just started turning a corner very slowly on WWE television. Slowly. He's been with WWE for how long now? All through 2025. He hasn't done a fucking thing worth anything on Friday night. Nothing of note. The guy's been in randomized matches. He's been in open challenges now twice. I don't understand how anybody could look at Aleister Black and at this stage of the game take him seriously. And I want to preface this by saying this has nothing to do with how great Aleister Black is in the ring. Aleister Black is a great pro wrestler. Aleister Black is a great character. It's a great act. I'm a big fan of what he does. But when you look at Aleister Black and what he's accumulated on television, and what he's been doing on television, does he resonate with you? Does he look to you like someone who should be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship? Does he look like the guy next in line for Cody Rhodes in the WWE Championship? Does he deserve a WWE Championship? If you answered yes to these questions, any one of those questions, you are clueless. And you're clearly thinking with your fandom instead of with your brain. Aleister Black belongs nowhere near the World Championship based on the way he's been booked. He's been booked mediocre. He's been booked middle of the road. He's mid. It is WWE Creative's job to get him to a point where the fans come out and give him genuine heel reactions. It is WWE's Creative's job to get him to a point where he legit feels like a main event guy. And it's their job to get him to a point where he deserves a WWE Championship. When they do all these things, then at that point I will tell you that Aleister Black and Cody Rhodes should be a main event program on Friday Night Smackdown. Right now, the only reason why Malachi or Aleister Black in this case is in a program with Cody Rhodes is because they have no one else. The main event scene on the men's side is just as depleted as the women's division is on Friday night. So by default, they need to put somebody in there with some name credibility. Otherwise, who does Cody have? He has no one. And WWE only has themselves to blame. When they look in the mirror, the culprits of why this show sucks, and why nobody is where they need to be, and why nobody feels important, the culprits will be looking them right in the face. I love for someone to clip me and tell me when I'm fucking telling lies. I'm not. You got the wrong fucking show, man. I'm in no mood tonight, number one, and number two, I look at this thing very different compared to the normal pro wrestling fan. We're not marks here. We're not fucking glazing a product that obviously and blatantly sucks. We love pro wrestling. But we look at pro wrestling in a very different way, man. We look at pro wrestling through a much clearer lens. We're not blinded by, oh my God! We're not looking to get on TV. We're not looking to fake react like these fucking hacks in the community. We're not looking to do anything that elicits fake excitement. Oh man, Malachi, Aleister Black's in the main event. Give me a fucking reason to care why he's there, and until you do, shut the fuck up. And stop insulting my intelligence. Honestly. He belongs nowhere near Cody Rhodes. He's only there by default because they have no one else. Dragunov. He's walking through Gorilla. Michael Cole says, I wonder if Tama Tonga is going to answer the open challenge tonight after what happened last week. Yes, that's exactly what we need for a United States Open challenge. Tama Tonga versus Ilya Dragunov. Nobody asked for that, and I hope we never get it. The Open challenge this week was answered by Johnny Gargano. Anybody that knows me and my love for black and gold knows that I love Johnny Gargano. Another guy that could be absolutely fucking great on Friday night. And this guy has wrestled how many matches in the last 6 months? Can someone find that out for me? How many matches has Johnny Gargano wrestled in the last 6 months? I guarantee you it's less than 6. Guarantee it. I'm talking about matches on TV. I'm not even talking house shows. Matches that physically we've seen him in on television. Both of these guys are great wrestlers. Both of these guys are great pro wrestlers. 3 matches. Chad is saying he's wrestled 3 matches in the last 6 months. Are you fucking kidding me? Genuinely, are you fucking kidding me? It's unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. Both of these guys are great wrestlers, but if you're looking for any sort of story here, there is none. Now, we got a situation where Dragunov was staring down Tommaso Ciampa last week at the end of the match. After the end of last week's U.S. Open Challenge against Nathan Frazier, which was great. Ciampa came out, wanted the match. Frazier got it because he was out there first, says Dragunov. Nathan Frazier lost. And Ciampa, he wanted a United States Championship match. Now, this is not a story. This is just something that WWE is trying to do to generate some interest and some intrigue and create a buzz that everybody wants the United States Championship. There is no story. The United States Championship Open Challenge is not a story. It is just merely 15 to 20 minutes of television time that WWE, the only thing that they need to do is piece a match together. How often that goes into the hands of Dragunov and said opponents, how much of a say he has in what he puts together compared to the agents. They choose an opponent, they put a match together, and that's it. They don't have to write dialogue, they don't have to write for next week's television, they don't have to carry us through weeks of television with layers of story. It's just rinse and repeat every single week. Here's another guy, Dragunov beats him. Here's another guy, Dragunov beats him. Here's another guy, Dragunov beats him. And this is going to happen until he loses the championship to whoever that may be. And right now, I don't see him losing that championship because he just returned from injury 3 weeks ago. This was a good match. This was not better than the match last week with Frazier. That one went much longer than this one. This one went like 11 minutes. So Johnny Gargano, he's out there. Tommaso Ciampa walked out as he felt like he was rejected last week after being called a jackass by Dragunov. He demanded that the bell ring for this match. Once Ciampa entered the ring, Dragunov said he accepted the challenge, but from Johnny Gargano. Ciampa provided a little bit of a distraction to Dragunov, which allowed Gargano to take advantage of the champion. Gargano attempted a super kick. Dragunov caught it, hit a series of German suplexes. Dragunov then continues to attack the back of Gargano's neck with elbow strikes, followed with a suplex, and we go into a commercial break. Dragunov is continuing the offense on Gargano, uppercut to the face. We went from Chelsea to Zelina, that he's booked nowhere near as good as he was in NXT. He's just there. Said Triple H wants them. He demanded that the bell ring for this match. Once, therefore, he won't have it. I didn't want my balls touching your balls. And he walks away. What is this campy, cringy comedy? Who is this? And what happened to the Ron Killings that we got that was let go, only to be brought back by fan demand, and then buried again, and made into a clown again? It's almost as if Triple H heard what we wanted, gave in, gave us what we wanted, we finally got it, we were happy, and then he takes what we wanted and actively killed it, basically showing everybody exactly who's boss. Be careful what you wish for. I hope R-Truth is not in the tournament. I don't give a fuck whose balls he wants to touch. R-Truth should not be included in the 16. There are much better things to do than put R-Truth in a fucking tournament the way that he was acting tonight.
Yeah.
And no, it's not fun. The tournament shouldn't be fun or comedy. The tournament is for the final spot in John Cena's career. The last match of John Cena's career. There's nothing fun about that. It needs to be uber serious. As serious as a fucking heart attack. Johnny Gargano was backstage talking about his loss to Tommaso Ciampa. I guess you gotta line him up and get some of those wins as the new champion, huh? If you need any more of a reason why we need some more bodies in this division, this match being made next week is all that you need to know. That match was made, Jake Cargill versus B-Fab, next week on Friday night. I already hear the remote controls being picked up across the globe. Charlotte Flair went one-on-one with Nia Jax. Is there anyone excited about Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair for absolutely no reason whatsoever?
Yeah, this match was messed up.
This match got underway. Flair and Jax locked up in the middle.
Well, I made this long enough. Might will end the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, I'll be back with more. Now, I just want to let you guys know I will be doing a live stream for Monday Night Raw next week, this Monday, in Boston, with the John Cena final appearance in Boston. I will be there with some friends. I'll do a live stream on that. And I will make videos on my Twitter and Facebook. So, yeah. Until next time, I'll see y'all later.